Hello and welcome. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're listening to this. We are talking about how to secure your small business and the intersection of business risk and cybersecurity, and finding out how prepared you are. And so we wanted to jump into this kind of right away. We've got a lot of content to cover. We will answer any questions. So if you have any of those, please feel free to put them in either the Q&A or the chat. Carly, my cohort here with me, will be fielding those and raising those up as it makes sense. It should last about half an hour. We will have a live Q&A at the end, but let's go ahead and get started. So who are we? I'm Dave Alton. I'm the CTO here at Strategic Information Resources, and we're here to protect your people and profits. We are a team of solutionists that provide a cyber-first approach in everything we do and feel strongly that communication is the foundation of getting anything done. So we do that all the time with everything, including cybersecurity. We have a team of 18. We're based in the Los Angeles area, but we have offices throughout the United States. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what are you guys doing to protect your business from cyber risk? And really, cyber risk isn't cyber risk, it's business risk, right? This is something that everyone struggles with, whether it's, my bank fails, or I can't get a loan, or I can't make payroll this week. Those are all like kind of what we would consider normal business risks, but so is having your bank account hacked or transferring money to a fake wire fraud account or any of those things. They can greatly affect your business. So really, cyber risk is business risk. And what we wanted to do was, do you want to protect your business or perish? And what we see is ransomware attacks continue to escalate, and they focus very, very heavily on small business. In 2023, in fact, they said there was a 311% increase over the prior 2 years of attacks going towards small business. And we still see a large amount of small businesses close within 6 months of a cyber attack. Normally, a pretty major cyber attack, something like ransomware, where it really destroys their data and information and they're unable to recover from that, is where we kind of see these small businesses get hit. So we wanted to talk a little bit about today, what are the hidden costs of supply chain vulnerabilities? What are some of the cyber hygiene things that you can do? And then talk a little bit about business email compromise, which is one of the more common ways to gain initial access into systems and then perpetrate various, cybersecurity scams, whether that's a scam, bilking you out of some money, or a ransomware attack where they're trying to extort you for money. So the hidden cost of supply chain can be quite great. This summer we saw unfortunately far too much of this. But a supply chain attack really refers to a risk associated with a third-party vendor that supplies your information technology or your business line of business application, and that can expose you to various cyber threats. The pharmacy industry had a big one of these this year with Change Healthcare in February, where it affected more than 9,000 pharmacies. And really, there were other health institutions that were affected by this as well. And it was all due to a simple lack of multi-factor authentication on the Change Healthcare employees' website. And that allowed the attackers to go in and steal around 6 terabytes of sensitive patient data. This caused Change Healthcare to shut down all of their systems, at which point most of the pharmacies in the United States and some in Canada were unable to actually process any prescriptions in their normal way. Now, there were lots of workarounds, and some businesses did better than others, but a lot of the smaller pharmacies really struggled during this time to really verify, their formulas and make sure that they had the right prescriptions for people and they're giving the right prescriptions to the right people and things like that. And it just goes to kind of highlight how, these supply chain attacks can really have this crazy downward spiral for all the businesses in that supply chain. The other one that happened this year was CDK Global. This was mainly affected auto dealerships, around 15,000 of them. They likely had, again, a phishing attack that went into their systems. The details of their attack are not as widely known at this point, but it looks like it made it past their defenses that gained them initial access. And then basically they had a ransomware attack that they were unable to recover from quickly. And I think the auto dealerships, some of them were out for several weeks, a couple months. And the total reported financial losses for dealerships were around $605 million. So again, that supply chain attack is such a risky area that it's something you need to pay attention to. So vulnerabilities, supply chain vulnerabilities is something that can affect anyone. 62% of small businesses experienced a data breach caused by a vendor or a third party. Those numbers are probably a little more elevated than they have been in a while because both Change Healthcare and the CDK attacks affected a very wide swath of individuals and businesses. But think about it. If your company runs on QuickBooks and QuickBooks has some kind of cyber attack, not saying that this has happened or will happen, but if it did, how would that affect your ability to take payments or send invoices out or do the things that you would normally do inside of your accounting system? Even just email. Think about, oftentimes we hear of Office 365 going down or Gmail not working or, some kind of outage causing difficulty to use our normal supply chain kind of tools. And quickly you start to recognize, oh, I can't really get work done without some of these tools, right? I can't get my business done if I don't have email. So a single breach in your supply chain can really lead to massive operational disruptions, financial losses, and potential reputational damage. So one of the things that we can do to mitigate this is, vet your vendors. They make sure they're following a strict set of cybersecurity practices. These can be SOC 2, ISO 27001, NIST 800-171. There's a whole host of them that can be followed. Some of the high trust ones, FTC safeguards. There's a number of these various measurement frameworks that will tell you how well your vendor is doing against their cybersecurity best practices. Make sure your contractual obligations includes security requirements in contracts with suppliers. So, if you have somebody that's supplying parts to you, you would have some kind of contract with them that says, hey, look, if they have some kind of breach or issue or something along those lines, that they are obligated to notify you. And then you always want to have some kind of continuous monitoring, looking for vulnerabilities, making sure that things are working the way they're supposed to. So you can use, there's a bunch of tools out there that can do that. MSPs are very much geared to handle some of that stuff as well as MSP like us is. And we can go in and we can kind of pay attention to the various feeds, look for vulnerabilities that are in those outside systems. Adobe is another one that comes to mind that can have some kind of issue with Adobe that would then affect your ability to perform your work or create Adobe files or potentially have risk to your downstream clients. So the importance of cyber hygiene is, really it refers to the best practices and protocols to keep businesses' digital environment clean and secure, right? So kind of consider it just like personal hygiene prevents illness, cyber hygiene prevents cyber threats from spreading, right? It really keeps what we call the attack surface, the amount of things that can be attacked within your organization, down to as low of a minimum as possible. And when an attack happens, that same surface area, it limits the bad guy's ability to do more than they should from just that one machine. Oftentimes, these ransomware events are widespread because they didn't just attack a laptop that somebody was using. They attacked an entire network and locked everybody out of being able to do anything, right? Or they got on a server and they locked the server up, and that made it so that the nobody could go in and access the servers that needed to be accessed to get the job done. So really, cyber hygiene is key in preventing the basic threats from spreading. So a lot of 43% of cyber attacks target small businesses, but only about 14% are prepared to defend themselves, according to the Verizon report from 2023. Everyone's really familiar with phishing and malware, but outdated software is another place where you can really end up getting attacked and not understanding. Adobe is a great vector for that. A lot of people still use an older version of Adobe, but older versions of Adobe have massive amounts of vulnerabilities, ones that are easily exploited by bad guys to gain that initial access and start functioning. So some real world examples of some businesses that were affected by cyber threats. So a very small healthcare clinic with 5 to 10 employees located in California suffered a ransomware attack that encrypted all the data and backups. This happened in August of 2019. So this is a little bit older example. By December of that same year, the clinic had closed. Most of that was preventable. Had they kept their systems up to date and backup secure, patients would have continued to have access to their medical records and they would have been able to function as a normal office. But because those records were all gone and there were some pretty large ramifications for the various deficiencies that were found, it was devastating to the business. They really lost the trust of their clients and customers, their patients, and ultimately ended up having to close. Another example was a marketing firm based on the East Coast, had about 20 employees, was compromised because of a phishing attack, right? Pretty common tactic to get in. The employee clicked on a fake link, allowed them to go to a portal. The attackers harvested their credentials from that portal, and then the marketing firm sent malicious links to their most trusted clients. There were financial losses due to the lawsuits. The firm was unable to deliver their product for more than 3 days, and they had to hire a breach consultation firm in the 6-figure range. This was also a preventable attack. Had they had MFA on their accounts and better training, they would have had a fighting chance. But in that case, again, not only did their business suffer from this ransomware, or this attack, but also the downstream businesses that they did business with also suffered because they got targeted and they got attacked, and those folks were also, ransomed or used to further perpetrate the phishing attack. So it's really important not just for you to protect your business, but it's important for you to protect your business so that your clients are protected from anything that might come in the door where you're at. So what are some of the actionable steps, the best practices around this, right? Implement multi-factor authentication. This is, it can block 99.9% of attacks. There are ways to get around it, but they're very challenging and make it much more difficult. Make sure you're keeping your software and applications up to date. Using only current versions of software is really, really key to keep that vulnerability count low. You're never going to get rid of all vulnerabilities, but you can definitely make it so that the vulnerabilities are much less and have far fewer effects on your internal systems. Employee training is a huge one. People, once they start to recognize this stuff, it's almost a game. It's like, oh, hey, I think that's a fish. Look, this email doesn't line up, or this thing's out of place, or this link looks funny, right? Getting your staff and your employees to recognize that they're being phished, or there's some kind of weird email coming in that's going to put your business at risk is really, really crucial in making sure that your business stays out of the news and out of a cyber attack. So an MSP can help you manage this cyber hygiene, the best practices around it, ensuring that your business is always prepared and secure. They can look at things like backups on a regular basis and make sure that your systems are going to function in the event of some kind of cyber attack. So business email compromise is, cyber criminals sending fraudulent emails to trick businesses into transferring funds or revealing sensitive information. Some of these are called spoofing, impersonation, compromising accounts. But this is a very common tactic now for bad guys to get in, have a legitimate email address, impersonate as an executive or somebody in a finance team, and compromise various accounts. They can even go so far if the email tenant is not set up properly, they can even go in and do things like add users and create domain admins that can go in and do higher level functions and really, really wreak havoc on your email systems. And like I said at the beginning, email isn't looked at as one of those like key things for business, but I will bet that most of you would struggle mightily without having email available to you to help run your business on the day to day. So, business email compromise in 2023, the scams resulted in over $1.8 billion in losses, making it one of the costliest cybercrimes in 2023. Now, that's accumulation, and it's probably a low number if you could believe that at $1.8 billion, because not everyone is reporting that they've been extorted, that they've lost money, or it doesn't really take into account some of the smaller kind of business email compromise and things like that. So really, really important that you getting your users trained and you understand what business email compromise is and how it works, right? An example of a California-based company lost $200,000 due to a single business email incident involving a fake invoice. This was a large company. They had a big invoices going in and out all the time. And the problem is that it wasn't out of the ordinary to see this kind of ask come in. And it was as simple as the bad guy recognizing that, hey, I'm in their systems. I can see the accounting person getting emails. And oh, look, here's the email invoice. All I had to do was go in and change the bank information. The rest of the message looks exactly the same. I change the bank information and resend that message saying, oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally clicked this before giving you our new bank information. Here's our new banking information. But without policies in place, that email was received by the accounting department and paid. And it went to some other country that the money was just lost to. So now they're out $200,000. The client thinks they paid $200,000. Nobody's happy with that situation. And sometimes insurance won't even cover that. So what are some of the actionable steps around business email compromise? Email filtering, verifications, and regular monitoring. Email filtering uses advanced email filtering to catch suspicious emails, but it goes further than that because it also looks at things like, have you communicated with this person before? Does this person have a web presence? Have they sent more than one email, right? And really understanding those types of things. It can also do things like send call outs that say, hey, this person's from outside your organization that's sending this email. Sometimes those call outs will at least allow you to quickly look at something and go, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't be getting that message, right? Or this is the first time you've emailed with this person. Wait, this is the first time? What are you talking about? I've sent emails to this person 10 or 20 times. That just means that you're sending emails to a wrong address, right? A man in the middle type of attack. Implement procedures for verifying payment requests. We see this all the time. And honestly, a phone call is the best policy here. You pick up the phone, you call the person on the other end, you say, hey, I got an email saying you wanted to change bank information. I have to confirm that that bank information is correct. And the real trick with this is that you have to call somebody that you already know. It can't be the person from the email. If it's a person from the email, what ends up happening is you call a call center in, the Czech Republic or in Russia or in China, and they have people with very good accents that say things like, oh, yeah, that was definitely me. We sent that. Sorry, yeah, our banking information changed. So you can't trust any of the numbers that are in the email. You need to call your contact and verify that that payment is being made to an appropriate person, right? And MSP can help you monitor this email traffic and detect anomalies and make sure that your staff is trained in recognizing that hey, this isn't a spoof, or this is a spearfish, or one of the other attacks that can happen in the email space. So, what are some of the key takeaways, right? Understand the risk posed by supply chain vulnerabilities. Poor hygiene and business email compromise are some of the common ones. But once you understand those risks, you can start to do things like protect yourself better, right? We've talked a lot of times about having a cybersecurity risk assessment performed on your organization so that you understand the full breadth of what does need to be protected, where are my vulnerabilities, and what is the most app thing to protect right now, right? Low hanging fruit. What can I go in and get done quickly that better protects me? And then partnering with an MSP can help to significantly reduce these risks. So, steps to enhance your cybersecurity, right? We could be that way to enhance your cybersecurity. We're very good at being a cyber first mindset and making sure that you're thinking about your cybersecurity and how to protect yourself. Relationships matter to us. We really pride ourselves on building very strong relationships with our clients and customers to make sure that when they do need to report something or something does come up, it's it's a very good phone call versus being scared about making that phone call. We're never going to chastise somebody for making a mistake. We may point out, hey, you made this mistake. Let's not do that again. But we're not going to chastise, oh my gosh, how can you be so silly to click on something so obviously spam, right? But the bad guys are really good at hiding this stuff. So it's really, really important that when you call us, that you're not being, that you feel like you did something wrong. We want you to feel welcomed and protected when you're dealing with us. I mean, after all, we're a team of solutionists. We're always trying to find the best solutions for our clients and our partners. So we're going to go ahead and open it up to questions. I don't see any in the chat, but maybe Carly has gotten some on her side. Not yet. Okay. Well, we'll give it a minute here. So where do we go from here? You can try and piece this together yourself. You can try and DIY it, right? Find all the right tools, put them in place, make sure they work, test them, make sure that they're protecting you the way you need to be protected, and things like that. Honestly, it's a big task. It's a large job. We see most often that it's better to partner with a qualified team of professionals. We could definitely be that qualified team professionals if you want. But if you're not partnering with us, you should try and partner with someone that can help you protect your people and your profits. So if you did want to find out a little bit more information on how to protect your people and profits, please feel free to reach out to us. You can book time with me and get on my calendar. My calendar does fill up very quickly after these webinars, but by all means, find a date that works for you and pick a time, and I'd be happy to kind of walk you through our process, what we do, and how we can protect your people and profits. I want to thank you for joining us today for our webinar, and we look forward to seeing you next time.